Hey guys, Mark here. Welcome to another one of my videos. In this one, we're going to be making a self-defense keychain called a kubotan. Here are a couple of examples of today's project. So we have one in two colors and one in a single tone. The kubotan version that we're making today has a fairly flat tip. Let's take a look at how it works. The kubotan is usually worn as a keychain and it is used to deter an attacker. You can either use it as a handle so that you can flail about with your keys. The second way of using it is to strike with the metal tip. This one is usually quite blunt, but still, hitting bone, it is quite effective. As far as supplies go, the first thing that you're going to need is going to be a screw for the core of your kubotan. This one here is 4 inches long and about 1/3 of an inch in diameter, so about 8 millimeters. You can choose whatever kind of a cap that you would like. This one has a mushroom or a dome-like cap. To plate over the cord, you're going to need 4 pieces of paracord, each 2 feet long. 2 additional pieces of paracord, each 2.5 feet long, are going to be used for the decorative knots at the start and at the finishing point. Some sort of hardware is going to be used to attach our kubotan onto a set of keys. A lacing needle can help you tie the decorative knots a bit more easily. Scissors and a lighter are our final 2 supplies. Let's begin. To start my project, I'm going to gut the 4 pieces of paracord, each 2 feet long. So all we're going to do is remove the inner strands. We're then going to arrange our cords onto our piece of hardware. Make sure that all 8 ends are of equal length. So these two, and these 2. We are now going to secure our setup onto the cord. So the cord is placed inside like this. Then we secure it using an inner strand of paracord. What I like to do is create a loop on one end, feed the other end through, so through the loop, and tighten up like this to get my starting position. So first I'm going to show you how to tie the loop. The running loop used to secure our project onto the cord is tied using an inner strand of paracord. You begin by taking an end and tying a bowline knot. So a loop, you pass your working end through the loop, behind the standing end, and back into the loop. Tighten up, and you get the bowline knot. You feed the other end through the loop to get a sliding loop. So as you can see, we can easily close this loop by pulling on our long end. We are now going to secure our cords onto the cord. Take your loop, pass it over the top and tighten it up. Continue by forming a loop with the working end passing under the standing end. Take the loop and pass it over the top. Tighten up and continue. So you create a loop with the working end passing under the standing end, and you pass the loop over the top. Tighten up and repeat a few more times. So a loop and you pass it over the top. A loop and you pass it over the top. To finish up, take your end and tie an overhand knot. So again, you create a loop and you feed the end through it. Then try to tighten up as close to the wrap as you can. Do a few more of these knots and try to tighten them up as close to the wrap as you can. Finally, trim the end, and then we're going to continue by plating over the cord. We are now going to plait over the cord. First off, clean up this top section here by pulling on all of the ends. Once you get a nice looking start, divide your cords 4 to the left, 4 to the right. We are going to be plaiting in pairs of 2. So this pair, this pair, this pair, and this pair. We start on the top right, pass behind, in between the 2 pairs on the left, and back to the bottom on the right. Then the top left pair passes behind, in between the 2 pairs on the right, and back to the bottom on the left. And again, top right pair passes behind, in between the 2 pairs on the left, and back to the bottom on the right. And the top left pair passes behind, in between the 2 pairs on the right, and back to the bottom on the left. Now tighten up, pull on each of your ends to get a nice looking tight plait. So let's see something like this. Then simply continue. Top right pair passes behind, in between your 2 pairs on the left, and back to the bottom on the right. Then the top left pair passes behind, in between the two pairs on the right and back to the bottom on the left. So essentially, we are alternating between the top right pair and the top left pair. So top right, top left. Remember once in a while to tighten up your cords. So let's say something like this. To finish up our plating, we do the same thing that we did at the start. So we take a running loop, we pass it over the top, and we place it as close to the end of the screw as possible. So let's say something like this. Now I'm going to continue forming loops and passing those loops over the top here, bringing them down and securing the bottom further. So a loop, again the working end is passing under the standing end, and we pass the loop over and to the bottom. Tighten up each loop as much as you can. So once you do a series of loops and you're confident that you have a secure bottom, then all you do is you tie an overhand knot as close to your wrap as possible. Do several overhand knots for added security. Then trim the end. Pull on all of the ends then trim them. I'm now going to show you how to tie the covering knots, so the decorative knots which are used to hide the start and the finish of our plating. These knots are usually tied directly onto the project, using 2.5 feet of cord for each knot. I'm going to demonstrate onto this mandrel to make things easier to see. We take our cord, pass around our mandrel, coming over the standing hand. Come around again, passing alongside the standing hand. Like this. Then, we travel the opposite to this cord. So, under, over. Come around again, coming to the standing hand, which is now doubled up. We travel in between the two parallel strands, and we do the opposite. So over, under, and from right to left, we travel the opposite to this cord. So over, under, over. Like this. We again come to the standing hand, we cross over it, and we travel parallel to the standing hand, traveling under one, over one, and under two. From right to left, we begin over one, under two to split a pair, and over two on the left. Then we begin under one, over two to split a pair, under two. And from right to left, our final sequence is an over two, under two, and over two on the left. Place your working hand alongside the standing hand, going under two. Then travel alongside the standing hand, going under everything, coming out on the right side. This way we can easily trim our ends once our knot covers this starting or finishing position. So after you tie your 2 knots, what you do is you start tightening them up from the standing end, running the slack through the knot until you reach the working end. Like this. I usually tighten up each of my decorative knots 2, maybe 3 times to get a nice look. Finally, we trim the ends of our decorative knots. Then, roll the knot under a plank. So guys, that's the Paracord kubotan. A nice looking, decorative, but simple to do project. I hope that you enjoyed this one and that you were able to follow all of the steps. Thank you very much for joining me today. Consider supporting the site on Patreon and see ya next time.